7. Energetic signs that reveal you're one of the strongest dark chosen ones. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the weight of energy shift? Not because of what was said, but because of who you are? Not everyone sees it, not everyone feels it, but you do. And that's not a coincidence. You were never meant to be average. You were chosen, not in the bright, glorious light, but in the mystery of shadow. The cosmos doesn't always send its strongest warriors into the world wrapped in golden radiance. Sometimes it wraps them in silence, in solitude, in darkness, because only those who can survive the dark can wield its power. Today we begin a journey into the depths of your soul. This is not for the faint-hearted. This is for those who have always known deep down that they were different, that they were meant for something more, that their pain had purpose. These are the 7 energetic signs that reveal you're one of the strongest, dark, chosen ones. I want you to listen not just with your ears, but with your body, your cells, your memory, because this isn't just information, this is activation.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The first sign is something you've probably experienced since childhood: unexplainable isolation. Not just being alone, but feeling alone even when surrounded by people. You may have thought it was a punishment or a flaw in your personality, but what if I told you it was training? The universe hides its chosen ones when they're not ready to be seen. You weren't rejected by the world. You were being refined in the fire of solitude. Do you remember those moments? When no one understood you? When you couldn't even explain your feelings? That was the darkness preparing you. Because the dark, chosen ones are not meant to be understood. They are meant to understand. You've walked through emotional deserts where no voice echoed back, but did you break? No. You adapted. You learned to hear silence, to interpret dreams, to feel the moods of rooms. Isolation forced you to awaken your energetic senses, and now you see things others miss. You catch lies behind smiles. You sense danger in calm. You feel joy in chaos. That's not paranoia, that's perception, that's power. But let me ask you something deep. If you'd never been isolated, would you have ever met your true self? Because that's the catch. The world distracts, noise comforts, but the strongest dark chosen ones are pulled away from the noise so they can remember who they are. Maybe you had to cut off toxic people. Maybe you had to leave everything familiar behind, or maybe everything abandoned you. Either way, you're still here. And that's the second energetic sign: unshakable endurance. You've been through hell, but you don't wear it on your face. Your smile has secrets. Your eyes have stories, and your soul has scars that have become symbols. You've been betrayed, broken, and buried. But you didn't die. You transformed. Others would have lost their minds in your situation, but you somehow, some way, kept going. That's not luck, that's divine resilience. And it's not random. It's encoded in your energy. It's what makes you dangerous to darkness and light alike. You're a bridge, a boundary, a balance. You don't run from shadows, you walk through them, and that's why you scare people. Have you noticed how people either fear you, idolize you, or misunderstand you? That's the third sign: energetic polarity. Your presence amplifies everything. You walk into a room and suddenly people open up or shut down. They either confess their deepest truths or avoid eye contact altogether. Why? Because your energy is a mirror. It reflects people's real self back at them. And not everyone is ready to face it. That's why some people hate you without reason. That's why some friends vanish when you evolve. That's why relationships get intense fast. You're not just a person, you're a frequency, and frequencies either harmonize or clash. But here's the secret. You don't have to dim to be loved. You don't have to shrink to fit. Your energy was made to disrupt, to shake, to awaken. Don't apologize for that. The world doesn't need more comfort, it needs more catalysts. And that's what you are, a walking spiritual earthquake. The fourth sign is a hard one to carry, emotional depth that feels like drowning. You don't just feel your own emotions, you feel everyone else's too. You absorb moods like a sponge. Crowds exhaust you, arguments haunt you, even music can overwhelm you. That's not weakness, that's sensitivity. And sensitivity is a superpower when it's mastered. But most dark chosen ones never get taught how to protect their energy, so they suffer, they numb, they shut down. But you, if you're still listening, you're being called to rise, to turn your emotional depth into intuitive wisdom, to protect your energy like a sacred temple, to stop leaking your light into people who drink your soul like water and still say they're thirsty. Pause for a moment, breathe, ask yourself this: who or what is secretly draining your energy right now? Because the fifth sign is this: you attract broken people like a lighthouse during a storm. They see your light, your strength, your calm, and they come. Some to be healed, some to be fed, some to steal. And you've probably played healer, therapist, savior many times, but not anymore. Dark chosen ones are not here to save everyone. We're here to awaken those who are ready. And that means setting boundaries that feel like betrayal to those who benefited from your lack of them. You are not cold, you are not cruel, you are conserving, and that's wisdom. The sixth sign is one you might overlook. You experience intense synchronicities and signs, numbers, dreams, animal messages, repeating patterns. You think you're imagining it, but you're not. The universe is speaking in symbols now because you've outgrown words. You're being led, redirected, reminded, constantly. Trust that. You are no longer being guided by logic, you're being moved by energy, and energy never lies. And finally, the seventh sign. You've had moments, brief, blazing moments, where you remembered who you truly are. Maybe during meditation, or heartbreak, or silence, maybe in nature, or during a dream, or after loss. In those moments, something ancient awakened in you, something that whispered, "You've been here before," and you knew. You didn't understand it, you couldn't explain it, but you knew. That's your origin calling, that's your soul remembering that you are not just human, you are a cosmic force in human form. So let that sink in. Your darkness is not a flaw, it's a forge. Your pain is not punishment, it's preparation. You are not cursed, you are chosen. And the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still listening, that means your awakening has already begun. But the real question is, what will you do with this power now that you know who you are? when shadows become power, the sacred gift of isolation. There's something profoundly sacred about being alone. Not the kind of loneliness that leaves you feeling empty, but the kind that strips away every mask you've ever worn and leaves you staring at your own soul. We don't talk enough about the holiness of isolation. In a world that glorifies constant connection, endless noise, and digital validation, being alone is mistaken for failure, for sadness, for exile. But what if I told you that isolation is not your weakness, it's your womb? It's where the strongest dark chosen ones are conceived, not in comfort, but in silence, not in applause, but in absence. Because only in the absence of distraction can you meet your true self. And once you do, you can never go back to pretending. Do you remember the first time you felt truly alone? Not just physically, but spiritually? That aching void, that unbearable stillness. It felt like death, but it wasn't. It was rebirth. The universe was pulling you inward, away from the noise, away from the illusions, into the furnace of your own truth. And yes, it hurt. It burned away your false identities. It burned away the expectations others had placed on you. It burned away your need to be validated, and in that burning, something unshakable was born inside you. That's why dark chosen ones don't belong in the crowd. We don't thrive in comfort. We thrive in the shadows, because we carry the light that doesn't need to be seen to illuminate. But let me ask you something honest. Have you learned to love your own company, or are you still running from yourself in subtle ways? Because that's the test. That's the initiation. Until you can sit in silence and hear your own heartbeat without fear, you haven't fully remembered your power. The strongest among us are forged in the fire of solitude. We learn to talk to the universe in whispers, to listen to the wind like it's an oracle, to decode dreams like they are sacred scripture written by our ancestors. When the world falls silent, the soul begins to sing. And in that sacred space of isolation, something else happens. Your intuition sharpens like a blade. You begin to feel when someone is lying, even if their smile is perfect. You begin to sense when situations aren't right, even if they make logical sense. You begin to trust your body's signals, your gut's warnings, your spirit's nudges. That's not paranoia, that's perception. You've become sensitive not because you're fragile, but because you've become vibrationally refined. You're no longer operating from intellect alone. You're moving through life guided by energetic codes. And that's why people think you're intense, because you see too much, because you feel what others suppress, because you know things you were never taught. You've become a spiritual radar, but that radar was only activated because you were willing to be alone. You were willing to face the mirror of your own soul, no matter how distorted it seemed at first. And now you can walk into a room and feel everything. Now you can hear the truth behind people's words. Now you can sense who is real and who is not. And that's what makes you dangerous, not in a vibrant way, but in a vibrational way. You can't be lied to anymore. You can't be easily manipulated. You can't be distracted by surface-level illusions. You've seen too much, and once you've seen, you can't unsee. But here's the paradox. The more awakened you become, the more alone you may feel, because fewer people will resonate with your vibration. Old friends might fall away. Conversations may start to feel empty. The world you once belonged to might feel foreign. That's not regression, that's ascension. You're not losing people, you're shedding frequencies. And as painful as that is, it's necessary. Because you're being moved into alignment with your true tribe, other dark chosen ones, other spiritual warriors, other souls who've walked through fire and emerged as light bearers cloaked in shadow. So, don't resist the isolation. Embrace it. Treat it like a temple. Use it to build your strength, your clarity, your gifts. Use it to connect with your guides, your higher self, and the ancient parts of you that remember why you came here. Because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more beings who have mastered the silence. And that, my friend, is you. The weight of the gift, energetic power that others can't handle. There's a moment in every dark chosen one's path when you begin to realize that your energy is not just different, it's heavy. Not heavy in the sense of burden, but in the sense of power. The kind of power that shifts conversations without speaking. The kind of presence that makes people nervous or strangely drawn to you, even when they don't understand why. This is the weight of the gift. And it's the third level of awakening. You've gone through the isolation, you've met yourself, but now you're tasked with carrying this energy into a world that doesn't know what to do with it. And that's where things get complicated. Let's be real. People sense you before they see you. You've probably noticed how strangers stare at you for too long, or how people either open up to you too fast or avoid you altogether. Your energy doesn't just walk into a space, it announces itself, without words, without effort. And while that may seem like a blessing, there's a hidden cost. Because when you carry this kind of energetic signature, you become a mirror. People don't just see you, they see themselves in you. Their fears, their desires, their unresolved pain. You reflect their truth back to them. And not everyone is ready for that reflection. That's why you trigger people, even when you're being kind. That's why some relationships spiral quickly into chaos. It's not because you're broken, it's because your energy is too real for people who are used to living behind masks. Have you ever asked yourself, why do people project so much onto me? They call you intense, too deep, too much, but the truth is, you are exactly what they've been avoiding. You embody the parts of themselves they've buried, your emotional depth, your sensitivity, your capacity to see through facades. These aren't flaws, they're reflections. And when you walk through life as a reflection, you're going to stir up resistance. That's part of the path. That's part of your purpose. But here's the secret most people never tell you. You don't have to carry everyone's projections as your truth. Just because someone feels intimidated doesn't mean you're threatening. Just because someone accuses you of being too much doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you've activated something dormant in them and they don't know how to process it. This is where discernment becomes your sword. You must learn to distinguish between feedback and projection, between real connection and energetic dependency, between those who want to grow with you and those who just want to feed off you. Because the dark chosen ones are often mistaken for emotional dumpsters. People come to you to vent, to cry, to release. They feel safe with you, they feel seen, they feel held. And that's beautiful. But if you're not careful, you begin to carry their wounds like they're your own. You start internalizing their chaos. You start forgetting where you end and they begin. You become the healer who's bleeding, the guide who's lost, the empath who's exhausted. That's the danger of the gift. When you don't know how to protect it, it begins to turn against you. So you must master energetic boundaries, not walls that isolate, but shields that protect. You must learn how to say no without guilt, how to walk away without shame, how to stop explaining your value to people who can't even value themselves. Because one of the greatest acts of power is not giving your energy where it's not respected. You're not here to fix everyone. You're not here to save them. You're here to awaken those who are ready. And sometimes that awakening begins with walking away. The truth is, your energy is sacred. It's ancient. It's encoded with lifetimes of wisdom, pain, and power. And when you begin to own that, truly own it, you stop trying to shrink. You stop trying to be palatable. You stop trying to fit into rooms that your soul outgrew years ago. You begin to realize that the weight of your gift is not something to carry alone, it's something to honor, to understand, to wield with intention. And here's the paradox. The stronger you become, the softer your heart remains, because true energetic mastery isn't about domination, it's about alignment. It's about knowing when to speak and when to be silent, when to engage and when to withdraw, when to offer healing and when to let someone learn through their own pain. And that balance, that sacred balance, is what makes you one of the strongest chosen ones. You are not here by accident. Your presence is a disruption to the artificial, a wake-up call to the asleep, an invitation to the truth. And yes, it can be lonely. Yes, it can be heavy, but it is also divine. Because when you walk fully in your energy, when you stop apologizing for your depth, your truth, your vision, you become unstoppable. Not because you overpower others, but because you are finally in full alignment with your soul's original blueprint. So let me ask you now, what version of yourself are you still hiding to make others comfortable? And what would happen if you released that version today? The final return, becoming what you are sent here to be. There comes a moment, quiet, unannounced, when you realize you are no longer the person who once begged to be seen. You no longer chase validation. You no longer shrink in the presence of louder voices. You no longer doubt the fire in your bones. Instead, you begin to remember, not with your mind, but with your soul. You remember why you came, why you suffered, why you were kept hidden. You remember that your path was never meant to be ordinary, because you were never meant to be small. You were sent here not to blend in, but to disrupt, to awaken, to anchor a frequency the world forgot. This is the final stage of the dark chosen one's journey. It's not about reaching enlightenment in some faraway mountain. It's not about being perfect or untouchable. It's about embodiment. It's about becoming what you were always meant to be, here, now, in this body, in this life. It's about walking as the energy you carry, not hiding it, not dimming it, not explaining it to those who haven't earned the right to understand it. And when this happens, when you stop resisting the call, you begin to move differently. You speak less, but your words hit deeper. You do less, but your actions ripple further. You need less, but you give more. Because your energy isn't scattered anymore, it's centered, it's anchored, it's magnetic, and people feel it, even if they can't name it. You become the kind of person who doesn't need to say, "I'm powerful." People just know. You don't need to prove your worth, you are the proof. But let's get honest, this return to yourself requires one last death. The death of the identity you built for survival. The version of you that played small to avoid judgment. The version that tolerated less than you deserve just to feel loved. The version that hid your gifts behind politeness, fear, and insecurity. That version must go, because the world doesn't need more polite silence. It needs your truth. It needs your presence. But most of all, it needs your courage. So let me ask, what are you still holding on to that you no longer need? What fear still whispers in your ear when you're about to rise? Because this is where the magic begins, when you release the final mask, when you stop waiting for permission, when you stop asking, "Who am I to be this powerful?" and start declaring, "Who am I not to be?" That's when the veil lifts. That's when the synchronicities intensify. That's when the right people, the right timing, the right experiences begin to flood into your life, not because you chased them, but because you aligned with them. You see, dark chosen ones were never meant to follow a path. We were meant to forge one, to walk through the wilderness with nothing but faith, to fall and rise again, stronger, clearer, wiser, and when we finally rise for the last time, we don't just walk for ourselves, we walk for every soul who's still asleep in their pain. We walk so others can remember. We become the mirror and the map. This is your time. This is your return. You didn't come here to fit in. You came here to disrupt the matrix, to bend reality with your vibration, to awaken the sleeping giants hidden in human skin. And it doesn't matter that it's been hard. It doesn't matter that you've been misunderstood. What matters is that you kept going. And that persistence, that fire, that refusal to break, that's what makes you one of the strongest. Not because you never fell, but because you rose differently every time. So now, I leave you with one final question. Now that you remember who you are, will you finally live like it? Allez-vous la répéter? Because the world is watching, the universe is responding, and your soul is ready. The shadow was never your prison, it was your teacher. And now, the world must meet the version of you that the darkness created. Not just a survivor, not just a seeker, but a storm in human form, a force, a chosen one. Walk your path. Light or dark, it leads to the same truth. You were never lost. You were becoming.